I think it was stigma. He didn't want people in the church to know he was HIV positive. But he did take medication. Suddenly, he started praying to be healed. His health declined. I told him to take care of himself. When there were people around, he didn't go out to get his medication. He preferred to die rather than to admit being HIV positive.
Stigma and discrimination is one of the major drivers of HIV infections, both in the general society and especially in the church.
I attended a service in one of the churches where the pastor came to the pulpit saying, I'm coming on this pulpit not with an HIV Bible, but NIV. And then in the audience, there is me who has HIV. How is that person who is HIV positive going to feel?
The challenge with pastors is that they take HIV and AIDS as something that is coming out of a punishment because people were not involved in proper conduct in terms of sexual behavior.
They criticize you. They point fingers at you. And you know, people do not know how you acquired the virus. They are always judgmental. They always think that maybe I was promiscuous. But there are several ways of having an HIV virus in the body.
So if we can remove morality and moralizing HIV and AIDS and start to treat it as something that is a pandemic.
We also help people to understand that how one contracts the disease is not really the issue. When they are suffering and they are infected, we need to care.
People have hope in the church. And if the church is not giving the message of hope to people, discouraging discrimination, involving them in activities of the church, then people will die earlier than their deaths. But if you encourage that people should live freely and you involve them in church activities, you give them positions in the church, they will forget that they have that virus and they will live positive.
So as you look at me, I'm a church elder from the CCB Synod of Kingstonia. I'm under Women's Guild. I'm also English Vestry Secretary at my church, St. Andrews. Despite I'm living positive with HIV, they have trust in me that I can do something for them. I usually talk in the churches about positive living with HIV, also talking to the reverends that they should stop stigma and discrimination to people living with HIV, but support them spiritually.
You can be a role model when you come out in the open. You are there to encourage people and have yourself tested. Let them see that our pastor is being tested. Either it comes positive or negative. Let them see you. If you do that, then you encourage a mob of people to do the same.
If we can use the pulpit to demystify the whole HIV and AIDS issue, we take HIV as any other disease or illness or infection. That is number one. We remove judgment from the issue of HIV and AIDS, especially where infection is concerned, that when one is infected, it does not mean that God is punishing them. They are not infected because they are sinning against God. They are infected simply because their bodies have come into contact with the blood of someone who is infected. And so infection takes place that way, and not as a result of sin.
My message is that somebody's status does not change their value. They're created in the image of God. They have dignity. They have value. And God's heart stops at a person that's hurting. And there's no greater ministry than to reach somebody that is hurting, to restore them to a place where they appreciate themselves and are willing to carry their vision, to do what God placed them on earth for.
The church need to love those who are infected. The church need to love those who are being rejected. The church need to love those who are being stigmatized by their families, by their relatives, by everyone in the community. The church need to be a place where people will run to be helped.